So this is Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Pirate mode, no out of bounds. What we're going to be doing is a category called True Ending. It's a little bit of a joke category in the community, but it's a nice, fun, bite-sized category that a lot of people have fun with. Basically, we're racing towards a glitch, and it's a little bit of a surprise, but it's a nice, fun glitch that I think you will enjoy. So this is pirate mode. So what that means is we're going to have all of the unique abilities that Shantae gets over the course of the game right out of the gate. I am going to restart this run because I pushed the wrong button.
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
This is Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. No out of bounds, pirate mode, true ending percent. True ending percent is a bit of a joke or short race category that we have in the Shantae community, where we're racing towards a particular glitch, which is a little bit of a surprise, so I won't spoil that right now. But this is a pirate mode run, so that means we're going to have all of Shantae's abilities that you would explore, that you find over the course of the entire game right out of the gate. So we have a dash, we have a float ability, and we have the ability to do several mid-air jumps. Now this opening segment is fairly straightforward. We're trying to get a very rare drop, so we're killing specific things. We're not killing too many enemies though, especially with this dash, because even though the dash moves super fast, every enemy that we hit with the dash slows us down for just a very short amount of time. Getting over here, making sure to grab this pot right here to get a little bit of extra money. Money is not a concern at all in this particular category. It's a very short category with very few bosses, so unlike the incredibly strained resources of other Shantae runs, this one's much more lighthearted and freeform. We only need 105 gems in order to do this particular category, which we already have more than enough of. We're going to be getting 100 from an enemy later, or from a collectible later. This is Ammo Baron. It's a little bit of an RNG heavy fight. He can either dash or shoot cannonballs at you. Fortunately, that was pretty lucky. He only dashed once. Ammo Baron can dash up to 4 times. And what we're looking for is that red cannonball that I reflected back to Ammo Baron. He can shoot that cannonball either the first, second, or third slot if he is firing at you. Fortunately, we only had one dash during this. Kind of slow on the cannonballs, 3s every time, but all in all, not terrible. This is a bit of a plot dump here. The general plot at this point is Shantae accidentally attacked the owner of this town. Turns out that's Ammo Baron. So she has to follow a court summons where she's going to get her hair cut off. Fortunately for us, none of that actually happens. Next up, we get an introduction to one of the infamous villains of the Shantae series, Risky Boots, setting a devious trap for Shantae, because it turns out Shantae doesn't actually own a bathtub. Actually, a pretty funny scene. The writing in this game is actually very lighthearted and pretty good. I definitely suggest it, paying attention to it on a full playthrough. This here's a Cacklebat. In other categories, we'd either have to kill 1 or all 20 of these Cacklebats. Since this is the only forced Cacklebat, it's the only one that we're going to be killing. Pretty interesting fight, though. It's a lot of trying to stay as close to the Cacklebat as long as possible. There we go. Perfect positioning there. Unfortunately, having a little trouble with Cacklebat getting away from me, but not too bad in the end. We want to be standing roughly in this position, because Shantae is going to take the time in order to move to that spot. So if we're already on that spot, we're going to save a little bit of time. Next up, we need two things in order to leave this town. We need the library card, and we need to save. The library card's right here from our good old friend Sky, another recurring character in the Shantae series. So we're going to pick that up. That's actually going to be very important later. That's going to allow us to get 100 gems. And here's our save point. So coming up, we're going to see a trick called the Risky Shuffle, right here, where essentially we frame perfectly hit left and right on the analog stick and the D-pad by holding left on the analog stick and then tapping right on the D-pad. Allows us to frame perfectly go back and forth, which allows us to set up our dash over the course of a very short distance, avoiding as many enemies as possible to prevent the dash, or the slowdown, and since we don't need any resources from those scarecrows, we can just head straight into the sewers without much worry. Here we're going to do an interesting pogo glitch where if you bounce off of the ceiling with your sword attack, it actually resets your attack, and that allows us to kill these snakes multiple times. Come on, snake. Don't be rude. There we go. There we go. And we got the flesh pop we were looking for. We need a total of 3 of those. Usually we grab what's in this chest, but since we're going to be ending the game before it matters, we're not going to pick it up. But that flesh pop, the 3 flesh pops that we got, are actually required in order to progress. So we get those flesh pops, get the key from Bolo, which is actually all we needed in order to hand in the court summons. But Risky Boots was also asking us to find a map to another island, which is exactly what we're gonna do.
Oh yeah.
Setting up another Risky Shuffle on our way out. You want to be dashing as much as possible in pirate mode. It's easily the fastest movement, and you want to be doing it as much as you can. Similar to the trip to the right, we're going to be avoiding as many enemies as possible and avoiding the slowdown, which can be a little tricky to actually avoid all of them. Usually you end up hitting 1 or 2, and hopefully not falling at any spikes. Here we can just talk to Risky Boots, but we're going to hand in the library card and get that 100 gems that I mentioned earlier, or monies as they're called in this game. And we're going to go shopping. Now this is a very special shopping trip for this category. We only need 2 things. We need a single Pirate Flare, and we need a single Super Monster. That's all we need, which is why the money count for this particular category is so low. There's only 1 boss we have to fight, and there's only 1 warp back to the ship that we have to use a Pirate Flare for. This part of the island mostly proceeds as normal. There's a few minor things that we can avoid,
Let's go.
but for the most part, this is going to be business as usual on Saliva Island. There's some kills that we could go through to get one of the items we need for an animation skip. But since there's literally a single animation skip in this entire category, it's not the most worth it. Oh, unfortunately I forgot what I need to do for a second there. We have to grab this ham stink real quick. Getting a little ahead of myself. And now we're going to use our cannons in order to head straight up. This is usually the shortcut back, but since we have the cannon from pirate mode, we're able to just head straight up to talk to this guy. Now, the reason why this place is called Saliva Island is because this guy's saliva is all of the water on the island. Incredibly gross. And you might be wondering why we paused 3 times there. Well, it actually skips a approximately 15-20 minute cutscene of that giant beast blinking a few times. Not entirely sure why, but it's a fairly significant time save. And as a reward for turning on the waterworks, we're going to get the Petrify spell. We would have normally had to talk to an NPC already in order to get this spell, in order to get up top, but we were able to skip the initial dialogue because pirate. And this is the NPC in particular. He was looking for the Petrify spell in an attempt to unpetrify his wife, but unfortunately that's not how it works. But don't worry, I'm sure he's fine. This is another point of deviance from a normal Shantae run, is we're only going to be picking up 1 key here, so the route through this dungeon is going to be a little different. We're going to be grabbing the fastest key, which is this one up here. And we don't have any extra items to do animation skips. So we're just going to grab it, and in order to get back topside as fast as possible, we're going to head into this water, which brings us right back to the entrance. Again, we don't need anything that could drop from any of those enemies, so we're going to avoid all of them. And we're going to use the 1 key. Three, don't need any money, so we're not going to pick anything up. Head through here. Nice, little slow there, but not too bad. And this is the part where this category gets weird. Since we have a Super Monster Milk and we only have to worry about the next boss, we're going to be using it on these wet men as well, and just absolutely destroy them in an incredibly satisfying manner. It takes much longer to go through that room normally. We're doing triple damage at the moment. And we're going to use that triple damage to absolutely obliterate this next boss as well. Similar to the snakes, we're actually going to do the same pogo glitch to reset our attack off of the ceiling in order to basically turn our sword into a chainsaw. There we go. And we got him. Very good fight. I always find it incredibly satisfying to use a Super Monster Milk on this guy. Next up, picking up the map.
Oh yeah. I did it.
And using our 1 pirate flare to save about 15 seconds to head back to the ship. Now, believe it or not, this category is almost done. There's just 1 more thing we have to do, and that's get to the glitch. The glitch is on this island, and I'll be sure to explain it when we get there.
Let's go.
Again, opening with a risky shuffle. Making sure to jump over that wall there. You're able to just dash through all these zombies, and they always spawn too slow. Heading up here, heading up here. Slight... Oh, whoops. Slight variance here, where usually we'd get that chest right there in pirate mode, but we don't need it right now, so we're just going to cruise through. Head up through here, and this is where the run ends. So what we're going to do is we're going to crawl into this next room. And this is the glitch right here. We jokingly call this as the true ending because no one wants to do Run Run Roddy Tops, and this soft lock where where Roddy Tops is just trapped here forever prevents us from having to go to Run Run Roddy Tops, and that's the joke. This is the true ending of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.